Like your workout is maybe 10% of the calories you burn in a day.
Yeah.
What's more important, you're getting up, standing, fidgeting, walking around. You're getting a little more purposeful movement.
What's up, fam? I am Coach Jay. I am here with
Coach Heidi.
So Heidi, did you know that before I started this gym, I lost 100 pounds?
I did know that.
You did know that.
I did know that.
I only talk about that every like nine days or so.
Yeah.
Every other podcast.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, and one of the reasons a lot of people join the gym is they want to lose weight. Now, 100 pounds is a lot, right? And most people don't want to lose that much weight. But I did find it took me about 3 or 4 years to lose 100 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I think I could have done it in like a year or a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I made like a ton of mistakes along the way. And so what I thought we'd talk about today is the 5 mistakes that I made on the way to losing 100 pounds.
I'm really excited. I want to know what these mistakes are and how many of them I've made too.
So the reason I wanted to share this is because, if your goal is to lose weight or get in shape, like these are mistakes that you're likely to make as well. And so if you can avoid those things, then you'll get there faster with less headache and, have to do less
headache, heartache, suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha.
So I haven't revealed any of these to you ahead of time.
This is all mystery.
But like I said, it took me about 3 or 4 years. And over that time, I read something like 20 to 30 books on the subject, right?
There are 20 to 30 books on weight loss. I'm kidding.
You got me on that one. Isn't there just one?
There are more than one opinion. What?
So I did, I read a bunch of books about it. I signed up for a few programs and I did some challenges. I did a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a lot of kind of stops and starts. And, that tends to be the nature of how that kind of thing goes. But when you try enough things, you kind of settle on a few things that actually work.
Sure.
Right. So if your goal is to lose any amount of weight, you don't want to make these mistakes. So mistake number 1, too much cardio.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So too much cardio, not enough heavy weights. Right. And believe it or not, there was a time when I wasn't lifting crazy weights all the time. In fact, I started by doing a boot camp where they had us running around. This was Lake Merritt in Oakland at the time. We had to run around Lake Merritt. And the only kind of first day, that's what we did, running around Lake Merritt.
That's that was on our 10K route for the triathlon.
Yeah. So it's about 5K.
Yeah.
Right. To run around Lake Merritt.
Gross.
5 kilometers. And I did that and I was 300 something pounds.
Sounds uncomfortable.
And it took me like 45 minutes
because
I was like walking and I was like, my knee hurt. It was not great.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, that's what I would do. I'd go to this boot camp. We do running, we do lunges. Like every so often he brought a couple of dumbbells, but it was just like, they were light dumbbells. And I thought that you just had to do tons of cardio to lose weight. And so this is one of the things like you discover as you start doing this is like, actually, cardio is great, but it's actually not the thing that's going to make the difference.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that the more cardio that you do and the less weightlifting that you do, you may lose weight, but it's going to be a lot harder to keep it off.
I made a similar mistake prior to actually losing the weight that I did. Back in the day when I worked at the ski resort, we had access to a gym and there were a few weight machines and whatever else, but I would just do an hour on the elliptical and call it.
Yeah.
And I'd ski, of course, and whatever. And I never actually lost anything meaningful. And it wasn't until I had a trainer who I'd do some intervals, but it was like 10 minutes of cardio and then 35 minutes of weightlifting that things actually moved.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
How much weight did you lose?
About 50 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on our proportions, that's about the same.
Yeah.
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 So, okay, cool. So number 1, like doing too much cardio.
Yeah.
Like that
makes sense.
is that's just the answer. And in fact, like for most people, it comes down to running. Hey, I'm going to lose weight, so I'm going to run.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I mean, if you're 300 pounds, like running is really hard.
I think also just the level of discouragement that comes with running when you're already feeling overly heavy, like gravity is not really your friend. And then, the awkwardness of all of that combined with the fact that it takes a lot of time to do cardio. Like bare minimum, the guidance is like, half an hour. So half an hour to an hour of cardio, you're probably not comfortable the entire time, you're probably pretty miserable and you don't really want to do much after that. So
Yeah. So it was one of the books that I read that kind of told me like every step that you take, right? Every extra pound you're carrying is like 6 pounds on your knees.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have 100 pounds, it's like an additional 600 pounds for every step.
That's rough.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, once I started lifting weights, first of all, one of the things that happened is I enjoyed my workouts a little bit more because that's one benefit of being heavier is you can move bigger weights, right? So you feel more successful. Right. The second is like you start to either put on or retain muscle, which means that as you start to lose some of the fat, you're able to keep it off because you have muscle and that, you're using
your base metabolic rate's better.
Yeah. Your metabolism works a little better. Yeah.
So good.
All right. So number 2, under eating.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever underate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It works in the short term and it can be really effective for a short amount of time, but ultimately it jumps up to bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So most people aren't eating enough. We see this with, folks that come in and work with us.
It's like 1,200 calories a day.
One of the basic things about losing weight is you have to consume less calories than you burn. And so people take this and they say, oh, great, I'll eat less and move more, right? And, as a general principle, that makes sense, right? But in practice, like that only takes you so far.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, your body's job is to adapt to your surroundings for your survival.
Yeah.
So if you were constantly under eating by that much, your body's like, cool, let me slow down the rest of your body processes. I know that you're out running and like you may be running from tigers and going out hunting. Like, fine, I guess you can still do that.
Yeah.
They'll start to slow down other processes so that it conserves calories. And so you burn less.
Yep.
And that sucks. And then it ditches your muscle because you're like, I can't support that much. And
exactly.
It's not good.
So, and it's not just under eating. It's, I would say specifically under eating protein because what I discovered when I started paying attention to what I was eating is like, I might be eating enough calories, but I wasn't eating enough protein. And when I started eating more protein, then my desire to overeat
for sure
reduced.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is like the most common recommendation that we make. So number 1 recommendation that we make is, hey, we need to keep track of what you're doing. The number 2 is eat more protein.
Yeah.
Right.
The scary thing about that is so many people start their weight loss journey on MyFitnessPal.
Oh God,
Isn't it the worst? And you put in your weight, you put in, oh, I want to lose 2 pounds a week because that's like the aggressive thing, or you put in your goal weight or whatever. And it shits out this information like, oh, you should eat 1,200 calories, 50% of that is carbs. And so you end up eating like 55 or 60 grams protein a day based on these numbers. One, you're starving all the time. Literally just hangry. Side note, did you know angry and hungry are the only 2 words that end in GRY? I learned this on Instagram the other day following Merriam-Webster's account. Anyway.
I don't believe that.
I don't know if I believe it either, but it's really convenient.
Okay.
For hangry. Anyway, you end up hangry all the time. And on top of that, your body just doesn't have enough fuel to get you through your workouts and you feel like trash.
Yeah. You're feeling weak and and it's like, for most people, if you just adjust the ratio of the food that you're currently eating, then you'll start to see progress, right? A little more protein and maybe a little bit less fat, a little bit less carbs, depending on how much you're currently eating.
For sure.
And you find that it makes a pretty big difference.
Agreed.
Right? So that's mistake number 2 is under eating. Mistake number 3, working out only at the gym.
Ooh, yeah, for sure.
And so
I like that one.
And so this one really is like, walk every day.
Yep.
Right. So like working out at the gym is great. Going to the gym, doing the lifting, the cardio, whatever you're doing at the gym is great. But if you're only working out 1 out of the 23 hours and the rest of the time you're sitting around and doing nothing or whatever, working or whatever you're doing, sitting around, like you're not getting a whole lot of non-exercise movement. Yes. Right. Yes. So this one actually took me a while to figure out. This is like way later in the journey. It was just like, hey, I'm going to the gym, wake up early, go to the gym, throw down, and then I sit at my desk all day, right? And once I started integrating a little bit more non-exercise movement, like walking at lunchtime or walking in the evenings or whatever, like things just went faster.
Yeah. And also people get into this fallacy like, oh, I'm working out. Either I've earned my meals or like, oh, I'm good because I did my hour at the gym today.
Yeah.
But honestly, that is such a small fraction. I forget what the percentage is. Like your workout is maybe 10% of the calories you burn in a day.
Yeah.
What's more important, you're getting up, standing, fidgeting, walking around. You're getting a little more purposeful movement during your day. And then you can, that essentially bumps up the calories that you burn by, let's say, like 30%.
Yeah.
As opposed to this little baby thing when you work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started tracking my steps.
Great.
And it was like I was hitting 10,000 steps. Turns out 8,000 is kind of the magic number.
Yeah.
But like you start hitting 10,000 steps or you start paying attention.
For sure.
And then you put in your workout and then you do your rest of your day and you're like, wow, I only got 4,000 steps today. I mean, I went to the gym, but I only got 4,000 steps.
Yeah.
And you start paying attention to that. Like, great, I'm going to take an extra 15, 20 minutes here and there. And like, it makes a huge difference.
Huge.
And it doesn't actually, it's not intense. So it doesn't make it harder for you to show up the next day.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I found was that it helped me recover a little bit better. And
it gets blood flow.
yeah. And the other part of it that was really helpful for me is I wasn't necessarily working out every single day, but I would be walking every single day.
Being active every single day.
Yeah.
And having that as a habit so it doesn't feel like this Herculean effort every day.
Yeah.
Where when you're not feeling like you want to go to the gym, oh, I have to go. And you just don't go. Hey, you still did something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The days I don't train, but I coach classes, if I look, I'm like, oh, I got 8,500 steps today. I'm like, okay, not going to beat myself up for not doing whatever the workout of the day is.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. And so that was actually, like I said, it was a little towards the end of my journey, but I was like, if I get like 10 to 15,000 steps every day, I'm just kind of moving.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference. And nowadays, I mean, this was a long time ago I did this, but nowadays you get an Apple Watch and it'll tell you like how much you're doing it. My wife does this thing where like the Apple Watch gives her alerts if she's not like moving around enough.
Oh yeah, I have a stand alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she'll stand up and wave her arm around and then
I've
sit back
done
down.
That.
Yeah.
Well, I've gotten to the point where, you have a calorie goal or whatever for the day. And so it's like, oh, you want to burn 500 active calories. And I'll get to like 499. And at one point I was like 499 and I was 497. I was feeding the baby and I'm like, how am I going to do this?
You start doing social dancing?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's great.
That was mistake number 3 is working out only at the gym. Workouts can happen all over the place. And number 4, not tracking your food and weight. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's a lot of different opinions about this, and everyone's kind of has a different approach. But for me, what I found was if my goal was to lose weight, then I need to track my weight. Mm-hmm. I don't want every time when I step on the scale to be like this adventure of like, how am I going to feel today? Yeah. And if my goal is to, pay attention to what I'm eating, then I need to track what I'm eating. Yeah. And I don't want it to be like, oh, you mean like eating 2 handfuls of almonds every day isn't good for me? So again, this kind of happened later because when I started, I was like doing diets where you just don't eat sugar or you don't eat whatever. And when I started tracking everything, I found that I was able to eat more of what I wanted to eat or a more variety of things, right? But I was able to keep it within sort of a range that worked for me.
It enables you to make some choices and to decide what's worth it while still getting results. So like if, for instance, and I'm not saying necessarily tracking calories long term, but if you do that in the short term and you realize like, hey, I'm good around 2,000, 2,200, right? And I'm still losing weight. And also I'm noticing that the 2 handfuls of almonds that I'm stuffing in my face while I'm working are 500 calories. Yeah. But so is an ice cream bar that I actually really like. If I don't have that 2 handfuls of almonds and I have vegetables and I have these other things that keep me fuller and I'm not just mindlessly eating, I can have a treat that I actually enjoy. Say, you want to get ice cream with your kids. Yeah. Or you want to go out to a meal with your friends. If you understand, kind of I don't want to say the rules, but like the inputs, you can tweak them to make your life more enjoyable, even if you're on a diet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the thing here is, you track this stuff long enough and it becomes less a part of your identity. Like
Yeah.
each, you know, you don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, you talk about ice cream bars. It's like, you know, there's a Haagen-Dazs and there's
Yeah.
like 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've eaten all 3 of them,
Yeah.
and I just put it in.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like, I don't feel bad about
This is what I
myself.
chose to do today.
I chose to eat 3 Haagen-Dazs
cool.
bars, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you know, that's way more calories, right? So
Yeah.
maybe next time I do that, I might just eat 2. It's unlikely, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
right?
It doesn't have to be filled with judgment. And I
Yeah.
think even when you first start tracking, just doing it for mindfulness as opposed to, I messed up,
Yeah.
is really, really useful.
And that's the thing about weight as well,
Yeah.
is like, you know, in my opinion, and well, whatever, what worked for me was tracking my weight every day.
Yeah.
If I did it once a week, then it was there's too much feelings,
Too much
involved.
fanfare around
It's
it.
just, yeah.
Like waiting till you go to the doctor and like, oh, am I going to be 10 pounds up or 10 pounds down?
Right.
It's your scale. It's broken.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink water today.
Yeah.
And we go, yeah.
Did I go poop first? Did I poop this
Exactly.
morning? Yeah.
So yeah, I would do the tracking every day
Yeah.
at the same time, and I would track my food and like that level of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Where I learned this one was, it was like a founder of, I think it was a founder of Evernote. He's like, I lost 37 pounds without doing anything but just tracking what I was doing. And he kind of showed like I was
Yeah.
tracking my calories and I was tracking my weight. That's all I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that actually
Yeah.
works, because it starts to, that awareness can potentially change your habits, right? All right, so that's number 4 is number 4 mistake. The last mistake is not eating cake, burgers, or cookies. Right?
Agreed.
So I think it's really important for you to eat the foods that
Yeah.
you love, right? And like, if you, let's say you know, you want to lose 100 pounds
Yeah.
and you want to do it within a year, like, if you are perfect every single day for a year, sure, you might lose 100 pounds, but you fast forward a year later, it's likely that
you've
you're going
gained
to
a lot of
have,
that
you're going to
back.
have that
Yeah.
100 pounds back.
Agreed.
And part of what you're trying to do here when you lose that weight is figure out a way to sustain it over
Yeah.
time. And one of the habits you want to develop as you're doing this is giving yourself permission to have things that you love, right? Now, if you have cake, burgers, and cookies every day for every meal, you're probably not going to get there.
I did beer and pizza for like, 3 years of my life. And that's kind of what got me to
Yeah.
the point where I needed to lose weight. And I think unless you learn how to do those things and look at them as, I don't want to say as an indulgence, but look at them as kind of the exception to what you're doing and also appreciate them.
Yep.
It's really easy to go back to that place where, oh yeah, this is 3 nights a week. And that very rapidly goes to, territory where you're likely getting into old habits and potentially going back to where you were. And it's not that it's bad to do that 3 days a week, but if you don't understand how to navigate it and not eat pizza till you're over full or not eat the entire cake,
Yeah.
and then you're just like, no cake at all for a year, and then you go to a function, you go to someone's birthday party.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to be that weirdo that doesn't have a slice of really good cake? Maybe.
Yeah.
But also, like, when you take leftovers home, are you going to eat all of them before midnight, possibly?
Yeah. And it's like you have to give yourself
Yeah.
room to be able
You have
to
to
do
learn
that
it.
stuff. Yeah.
You have to tread in that scary shark infested water. You have to learn it. Otherwise, you are doomed to repeat the things that got you in that place in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so one of the things I kind of discovered is how I would eat those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like, okay, I would, so like lunch, I would have like whatever, chicken breast and, sweet
Yeah.
potatoes and broccoli, whatever. Right. So that would be my lunch. And I'd be like, I'd eat it, kind of slowly. And then, let's say it's Friday night and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a burger tonight. I'd get the burger and I would devour it
Yeah.
within like 30 seconds.
Without appreciating
Yeah.
it.
And it's just
Totally.
it's just like, right. This is why I was
Yeah.
300 pounds.
And
is
do
I
I
would
feel
eat
any
every
better?
meal like this.
Yeah.
And then I would give me another burger because
Yeah.
I'm not
Totally.
full yet because I ate
Totally.
it so fast that I didn't even pay attention to my body's fullness signals.
Yeah.
And it's like, you start to notice that stuff
Yeah.
when you sprinkle it in.
Yeah.
If it's what you do all the time, then you just think that's
and
how
you
I do it.
don't look forward to it
Yeah.
when you do it all the time. And then also, like, you're more prone to eat the Safeway cookies. I always talk about the Safeway cookies because they're trash.
They're so terrible.
They're so bad.
They look great.
But there's like a snack table behind you at work, and there's always a potluck, and then someone brings something, and like that's not high quality food, but you're so used to eating it that whatever, I want to eat it.
Yeah.
And it's not very satisfying versus when you look forward to it through the week. I'm going to go get a donut on Saturday morning, and I'm super excited to enjoy it. I'm going to go to coffee. I'm going to do this whole thing.
Yeah.
You start to appreciate it, and then you realize like the Safeway cookies don't have that magic either in the experience or in taste because they're trash.
Yeah.
But you start to appreciate it more and not do what you talked about, which is
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's part of it is you want to make sure that stuff is in there so that you can notice that stuff.
Totally.
A lot of it just comes down to awareness,
yeah.
right? And really the habits that got you to gaining that 100 pounds in the first place need to change over time.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to develop new habits to get there. And if you just restrict everything,
that's not a habit.
which is how I started.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like
It can be effective,
Yeah.
but you still have to expect you're going to screw it up at some point.
exactly.
And either you screw it up and learn along the way, or you have a really rude awakening when you gain back your first 20 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have a decision to make, like, oh, do I go back to restricting, or do I figure this out, or do I just screw it,
yeah.
regain it all?
Exactly. And that's part of it. I mean, I don't want to make this seem like really easy. It's not.
No.
What happens is when you're losing that kind of weight, it's like you lose some weight and then you gain a little bit of weight and then you lose a little
not
more.
Linear.
It's not linear. But in that process of doing that, you're like, for me, I tried a bunch of different things and I came up with like, oh, here's some basic things that if you follow them, then you're good.
Yeah.
And it's like, we talk to clients about this all the time, and you can see them going through this. And it's like, okay, we had a couple of clients where they were like, hey, I need to lose some weight. I'm just going to do keto. It's like, awesome. Like,
And then what?
yeah, like you can do that, but like you've done it before. And like, that's why I'm doing it. Okay, cool. So what
are we going to change at the back end of that?
Yeah, what's going to happen at the end?
I don't want to do this a third time.
Yeah, I'll just keep doing it. And great, great. You need to clean things up. Let's start with that. Let's do it for a couple weeks. Then let's move on to something that's a little bit more sustainable. And it's only when you look back where you're like, the things that have stuck are the things that have gotten me to where I am right now.
Yeah.
And that's where these 5 things are. It's just like, lift weights.
Yeah.
Right. Make sure that you're eating enough protein. Make sure you get a lot of non-exercise movement. Make sure that you are tracking. If this is a goal that you have, make sure that you're tracking it, and then give yourself some space for the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So yeah, those are the mistakes I made. Anything to add on your end?
I've made them all too.
Yeah. Are there any additional mistakes that you made?
Don't order DoorDash when you're hungover? No, I don't know. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I had nothing to add.
Yeah, I didn't have DoorDash when I was.
No, neither did we.
Yeah, it was more like the deal was I buy, you fly. That was.
Yeah.
that was our DoorDash. I will pay if you go.
I know. I was usually the one that would drive. Like, all right, I'll go.
Awesome. Well, hopefully this was useful. Just follow these 5 steps. You'll lose 100 pounds. I guarantee it.
No big deal.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, we've got plenty of others. Go check out this one over here.